Dear children, welcome to Standard 8 Social Science class. I hope all are fine and safe at home. In today's class, let's deal with History, Unit 6, Development of Industries in India. The learning objectives are acquaint with the traditional crafts of India. Acquaint in the sense to be clear with the traditional crafts of India. Analyze the cause for the decline of Indian industry. To analyze the decrease or the loss of Indian industries. Children, first let's see what is an industry. An industry is a group of companies which produce similar goods and or services. I repeat, an industry is a group of companies which produce similar goods and or services. The history of Indian industry perhaps dates back to the history of humankind. India's traditional economy was characterized by a blend of agriculture and handicrafts. According to Edward Byrnes, the birthplace of cotton manufacture is India, where it probably flourished long before the dawn of authentic history. Authentic history in the sense original past event which has happened. Bernier, who visited India during the reign of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, marveled at the incredible quantity of manufactured goods. Incredible quantity means unbelievable quantity of manufactured goods. Next, the peacock throne, carpets of silk and gold as well as mini carving was admired by a French traveller, Tavernier. So children, these three famous Byrnes, Bernier and Tavernier admired the history of Indian industries. Next, we'll move on to the traditional crafts of India. The crafts in India has a rich history. Crafts were an integral part in the life of the people. Crafts were integral part means it was a necessary or important part in the life of the people. Before arrival of mechanized industry, that is before the arrival of the machines, the production of Indian handicrafts was the second largest source of employment in rural India, next to agriculture. So it was the second largest source of employment in rural India. The traditional Indian industry was known in the fields of textiles, woodwork, ivory, stone cutting, leather, fragrance wood, metalwork, and jewelry. The village artisans such as pottery, weavers, smith produced articles and utensils for domestic use. But some specialized goods were produced for domestic and international markets. Some such specialized goods produced were cotton, muslin, wool, silk, and metal articles. India was famous for its fine quality of cotton and silk clothes. Certain centers of metal industry were quite well known. For example, Saurashtra was known for bell metal, Vanga, Bengal for tin industry, and Dhaka was identified with muslin clothes. The muslin of Dhaka, mummies in Egyptian tombs dating from 2000 BC, that is before Christ era, before Christ period were found wrapped in Indian muslins of the finest quality. A 50 meters of this thin fabric could be squeezed into a matchbox. Next, we are going to see about the decline of Indian industries. The causes were loss of raw patronage, transition from producer to exporter of raw material, competitions of machine made goods, trading policy of the British, deindustrialization. Loss of royal patronage means there was a loss of communication that indicates lack of respect. Next, transition from producer to exporter of raw materials. That is moving the products or goods from the producer to the exporter. Third one is the competition of machine made goods. The Indian goods made with primitive techniques could not compete with industrial goods made in England. Next is the trading policy of the British, the buying and selling products of the British. Last is deindustrialization. What is deindustrialization? It is nothing but the process of social and economic change which is caused by the removal or reduction of industrial capacity. Let's see the causes one by one. First, loss of royal patronage. The British conquest transformed Indian economy into colonial economy. Indian economy is self-reliant, which is transformed into colonial economy. That is economy which is formulated by the British. As the British conquered the Indian territories one after another, the native rulers, the nobles, and the landlords lost their power and prosperity. As a result, the craftsmen who were patronized by these rulers lost their importance and became poor. For generations, these craftsmen had been practicing their crafts and they did not possess any other skills. So they had to work as laborers in fields to meet their daily needs. This change resulted in increased pressure on agriculture and there was large scale underemployment in agriculture. The substitutions of commercial food crops in agriculture ruined the Indian agro-based industry. The splendid period of indigenous handicraft industries came to an end as the political influence of the East India Company spread over various parts of the country. Next is the transition from producer to exporter of raw materials. Indian handicrafts that had made the country famous collapsed under the colonial rule. That is, collapsed under the British rule. This was mainly due to the competition posed by the machine-made goods that were imported from Britain by the British rulers. The ruling British turned India as the producer of raw materials for their industries and markets for their finished product. Moreover, the railway and roadway introduced by the British facilitated the movement of finished products to reach the remotest parts of India and the procurement of raw materials from these parts. So transition is movement of finished products or raw materials from the producer to the exporters. Next comes the competitions of machine-made goods. Textile was the oldest industry in India. The highly specialized skills of Indian weavers and the low production cost gave a tough competition to the European manufacturers. Some of these inventions were cotton gin, flying shuttle, spinning jenny, and steam engine in England, which made the production of textiles on a large scale. So these were the machine which is used to make goods. India became the market for the finished product of Britain. As a result, peasants who had supplemented their income by part-time spinning and weaving had to now rely only on cultivation. So they lost their livelihood. The Indian goods made with primitive techniques could not compete with industrial goods made in England. Next is the drain theory of Dadabhai Nehruji. Dadabhai Nehruji was the first to acknowledge that the poverty of the Indian people was due to the British exploitation of India's resource and the drain of India's wealth to Britain. Next decline of Indian industry is trading policy of the British, that is buying and selling policy of the British. All the policies implemented by the British government in India had a deep impact on India's indigenous industries. Indigenous industries means most sustainable fashion manufacturers. Free trade policy followed by the East India Company compelled the Indian traders to sell their goods below their market prices. This forced many craftsmen to abandon their ancestral handicrafts talents. Ancestral means forefathers. East India Company's aim was to buy the maximum quantity of Indian manufactured goods at the cheapest price and sell them to the other European countries for a huge profit. This affected the traditional Indian industry. The British people followed the policy of productive tariffs. Tariffs is nothing but the tax which is imposed by a government on import or export of goods. So that was much against the trading interest of India. Heavy duties were charged on Indian goods in Britain, but at the same time the English goods entering India were charged only nominal duties. The last decline of the Indian industry is deindustrialization. What is deindustrialization? It is nothing but the process of social and economic change caused by the removal or reduction of industrial capacity. During the first half of the 19th century, Western countries were experiencing industrialization. India also suffered a period of industrial decline. The process of disruption of traditional Indian crafts and decline in national income has been referred to as deindustrialization. The Indian domestic industry could not have withstood foreign competitions, which was backed up by a powerful industrial organization, big machinery, large scale production. The difficulties in Indian industry was complicated further by the construction of Suez Canal, because of which transport cost was reduced, which made the British good cheaper in India. So the main cause for the decline of handicraft industry was the greater employment opportunities and income generating effect of the modern factories. So these were the decline of the Indian industrialization. Children, let's learn the odd words and its meanings. Authentic, original, incredible, unbelievable, integral, necessary or important. Patronage, lack of respect. Ancestral, forefather. Tariff, tax imposed by a government on import and export of goods. So children, learn all these hard words. Children, that's all for today's class. Just we'll have a recap on the lesson development of industries in India. First we saw the introduction part, then traditional crafts of India, then we saw the decline of Indian industries. The reason for the decline of Indian industries. First one is loss of royal patronage, transition from producer to exporter of raw materials, trading of British, then deindustrialization. Children, go through page number 58, 59 and 60 in your history textbook. Thank you and have a great day.